I don't know what's wrong with you people. War of the Rohirrim is underrated. I'm very biased because I love epic fantasy and animation, but this movie is truly amazing. So amazing, in fact, that it taught me about death. When analyzing a story, it's important to understand setup and payoff. I consider setup and payoff as like the binary of storytelling. This means the story is the logical direction things move from the inciting incident. This is achieved by two things: character consistency and foreshadowing. When we see Wolf get blueballed, witness his father's death, and get banished, we can determine that the rest of the story is going to be about him trying to get his revenge, so long as he is consistent with his character. When we see Hera accidentally hurting Wolf as a kid, we go, what in the world is the point of that scene? Then we get to the end of the film and see her be given a buckler and go, oh, I get it. Setup and payoff is very important, and I absolutely should give it its own video. But now that we have the bare bone basics, let's see how this applies to killing characters. Fridging is what happens when you kill a character with the sole purpose of progressing other characters and nothing else. For this reason, you generally want to avoid this, because it's hard to feel the emotional weight of a character's death when they don't have any thematic relevance, motivation, anything. Please, man, I just want a little crumb of anything. Some people say you should never fridge a character. Put a pin in that. Early on in this film, there's a battle so devastating that the whole city of Edoras has to hightail it off to the Hornburg. I looked up names of these places to put them in this video. I didn't even consider, like, how do you say these names? I am an idiot! Unfortunately for Helm Hammerhand's son Hama, horses in this film are not fantasy cars, and his horse gets exhausted before he can make it to the Hornburg. He dismounts his horse, says songs of valor, and then dies. Deadpool wishes he was this man. This man's death is solely to further the development of sexy Santa over here, so his death should be bad, right? I love his death. His death might be one of the best deaths I've ever seen. We see from the start of this film that Hama loves art, specifically music. We see consistency in his character when, before going to battle, he gives his sister Hera his instrument so that if he dies in battle, he can be remembered through songs as a valiant hero. These stupid writers thought they had one up on me. That is so specific that it has to be foreshadowing. After all, that's why he says songs of valor before dying. But actually, Hama doesn't die here. He gets captured and then gets his throat slit because Wolf would rather cut off his balls with a rusty fork than let go of his anger. The only death I can think of more unceremonious than this is probably the death of Batman in that Suicide Squad game. Yet an unceremonious death is the tragic subversion of what was set up earlier. Hama doesn't get to have the development or the epic moment of heroism that he wants. After seeing how much he desires that, it's so disheartening to see that ripped away from him. This is so well done that as I was writing this, I started to realize that I'm really unsure about my opinions regarding fridging. So it looks like I'll be needing to do more research in the coming days. But for the time being, I want to talk about the battle towards the beginning of the film, because I was really surprised about why Helm didn't die here, especially after becoming a Boromir-style pincushion. I was really annoyed at first, but little did I realize that I was about to be taught a lesson about finding the right moment to kill a character. You get the impression very early on that the pride of Helm Hammerhand will be the death of him. Especially going into this battle early on, I thought he was cooked for sure. Like, not even medium rare cooked, just cooked through and through, just burnt even, just kind of nothing's that, it's just ash. That's how cooked he is. He made tactical blunders, and we needed to see characters pay a heavy price for their mistakes, or we would lose a sense of accountability. We also needed a reason for Hera to leave or be forced out of her comfort zone so that she could truly come in as her own character. I was really concerned when Helm did not die. Then Hama died and I felt a lot better. Then he gets sick and I begin to start worrying that he would get better just as the falling action's happening. But then he grows as a character and goes on this whole Vinland Saga level rampage. But the PG-13 version of a Vinland Saga, he's not doing this to people. This is such cool lore. It's also such great character work, and it's great writing. But is it the right choice for this film? This is a really good question that might not have a perfect answer. All writing advice is very subjective, but there is a range of how often writers like to kill their characters, and I personally am a little heavier on that kill category. But even writers who kill a lot of their characters tend to have a certain rhythm or rhyme to how they go about doing it. Because there's just something so oddly dissatisfying about seeing your level 20 chosen one main hero character get killed by a lucky shot from a goblin. If that's the story, then why were we following the chosen one instead of this goblin and how they actually made the shot? It's just why did you choose that perspective? You don't need to kill characters, but you do want to complete arcs. Once you are done following a character's story, you can then decide if it's the most sensible thing to have them die as a part of the end of their story. Here, it was very well foreshadowed that the war conflict would fall onto the main character, and that the current king was not just going to be, he wasn't just gonna flee or be captured. Chained this man to a wall and his mere flexing would be enough to shatter those shackles. The reason they didn't kill Helm in this battle, or let him die of infection after the death of Hama, was not just to stay in line with lore, but they were able to also bring out so much more nuance and dimension and complexity within his character by following him and not killing him, and therefore we bring that nuance and complexity to the themes of the film. On top of that, Helm had one of the most characteristic and awe-inspiring deaths I have ever seen. Of course, the Helmberg would be named Helm's Deep, because they are deep in this war. I can't end the video like that. Helm Hammerhand's downfall was his pride. But if he had died in battle, we would have believed that his pride was in his own accomplishments. But the fact that he lived allowed us to explore his character further and see him grow past this. But not only did we see him grow past that, we also got to see where his pride is truly rooted.
The day you were born, I was brought to my knees. My pride, my joy. You could rule the world.
By my life, Rohan still stands! Helm Hammerhand still stands!
It's in the kingdom and the daughter he loves so much to where he's willing to die for them, standing tall, no knees bent. Please subscribe so that my pain and suffering have value. And click here to see why The Dark Knight has the most thematic ending to a Batman film.